Everybody, so we've got Coach Jake White, coach of the Vodacom Bulls. We will start with the media online with their questions, and then we'll come to everybody that's here.
Hi, good evening, Jake. Hi, guys.
Ashfaq.
Jake, yeah, a bonus point win, so that's satisfying after what happened in Galway. But you had three big injuries there with Moody and Grobis and Kosi.
Yeah, Ashfaq. I mean, it's a tough game, eh? I mean, everyone gets injuries, so we're just going to have to find out. They're going to have scans. I don't know if they can have them tonight, probably tomorrow, and then we'll do an assessment. At least it's not all long-term injuries. I mean, sometimes it get cruciate ligaments and you're out for Achilles injuries and you're out for 8-9 months. So hopefully it'll be one's a head knock, one's a sort of tight hamstring, and the other one is an ankle injury. So hopefully we'll get some good news tomorrow.
Are they out of the tour yet or not?
No, well, I'll only know tomorrow, Ashfaq. I mean, I think concussion probably maximum, minimum 10 days, whatever. Thank God we played Friday, so I mean he might be available for the second game. Kanan, I'm not sure about his hamstring. I mean how long that will take to heal. And then the ankle, once I get prognosis from the scan tomorrow, I'll know whether or not Grubbies is good enough to either be part of the tour or just wait for us to come back.
And just on the performance, Jake, and the bonus point win?
Look, Ashfaq, I mean, it's a tough comp. So to get 4 tries, and we had a couple disallowed, and I thought at times we played really well. Defensively, I thought we were outstanding. I mean, you consider we played 30 minutes with 14 guys, and then probably 8 minutes of those 30 minutes with 13 guys. So I thought defensively we were much better than we were last week. But I suppose the one area that I do think that we need to look at is this water breaks. I'm not quite sure if these water breaks at different times in the game, decided by the match official, is working. I don't know how other teams feel, but I generally think it's not helping us because you never know when the water break's coming. It could come at a really important time of the game. It could come when you're building pressure. So I think we've got to relook at these water breaks in terms of, either it must be 20-minute slots where you've got 20 minutes and there's a water break, or we must just can them because I don't think the game is getting the shape that it could have. Anything else there?
We'll go to Simon Rickett.
Hi guys. Thank you, Jake. Congrats on the win. I know that you're pragmatic, especially about the season and the season that's coming up. I wanted to ask this to Connacht, but I was conveniently just not recognized. But it's not your problem. It's a season. It's a double season. It's a double up of the season. And here you are, and you've got the anticipation. You've got stuff in the bank. You've got your players. Yes, there are injuries and stuff that happened, but you also have a performance right at the beginning. How satisfied are you at the moment, first of all, with what is happening? And then I hesitate to ask the question about the refereeing. Let me just leave it there. I'm a rugby commentator. I respect that.
Okay.
Yes.
So firstly, look, I think to get a good start like we did, we know the importance of a start. Last year, we fell short of hosting the final by, 1 or 2 points, and we're really good at the back end of the competition. So to get, I don't know how many points we've got now, but to get the start we've got after 3 games, when we consider this time last year we had 4 points, and I think we were about second last on the log. So the first part of your question is lovely to have points in the bag. Now we go on tour. Last time we toured, we won 1 game, probably didn't do as well as we wanted away from home. So it's a working discussion we've had about how we can tour and what we need to do well on the tour. And the ref, we had him against Leinster and we won that game in Leinster. So, referees, as I said, it's tough for them. Today we probably got a couple of calls. The one call that I can't actually understand is the very first maul try. The law is, for me, if I understand it correctly, you can't have 3 guys joined together with a ball carrier, two supporters, in open play but within the 15 meter of the line out, you can, because that's how a maul is formed. Otherwise, every time you maul, literally you're making contact with the opposition with more than two guys bound to the ball. So that's the only sort of question I have, but not for him. Just in terms of, is that, I've seen those tries being allowed before, and when it wasn't allowed, obviously I was a little bit perturbed by the fact that they didn't even see the 9 pulling the maul down. So there's two ways you could have looked at that. Is if the 9 collapsed the maul, then it could have been a yellow card and a penalty try. And as I said, it was inside the line out 15 meter. So yeah, I mean, that's something I will be sending in and just finding out, just for clarity going forward, not from this game, but obviously in all the other games. Yes, Leighton.
Thank you, Jack. Hello. Just on the guys you brought in to the team after last week's good win, were you satisfied with how the guys performed? And then also, for how long do you think you will be able to keep this rotation policy up, or when does it become that these guys are the starters and going to carry the team
No,
forward?
I'm very happy later with the guys that came in. I thought Francois Klopper was outstanding as a tight head. That's the first time he's played at this level. I thought he scrummed really well. Other guys that have come in, Goosen going back to 10. I thought some of those combinations there was once or twice and we just held on to the ball after 10, 12 passes. It could have been the try of the year. So there were times there that I was very happy with the way we played. The rotation, we had a game today in Bloemfontein, so some guys got some hit-out time there. That'll also help me for this tour, because some guys who are going on this tour would need to play as well, especially now we've got a couple of injuries. And I'll just play it from week to week. Obviously it's one of those difficult ones. I obviously got a sheet of paper in my briefcase with a touring squad. It needs to change now, because if some guys are out for a couple of days or a couple of weeks, then I need to look at replacements for those, and that means you've got to take a team that can play next week. So, yeah, I think it's one of those things you're going to have to work from game to game. It's not something you can plan too far ahead in terms of rotation, but at least we've got some depth in our squad. As I said, you've got a young prop starter today. I thought Jan Hendrik was really good when he came on. That's the first time he's had to front up. He always comes on with about 10, 12 minutes left to go behind Grobbies. Today he had to show his worth. It was a bit silly in that yellow card, but I looked at their team. Most of their players are in their 30s. I think most of our players are in early 20s. So there's a massive amount of learning still to be done on our side.
We'll take one more question online.
JJ.
Good evening, Jake. I just think the one thing that I just want to hear your thoughts on the discipline that the Bulls showed tonight. I think that could be definitely a bit of a concern going on tour.
Yeah, JJ, that was one of the things we just spoke about now in the change room. There's no use talking about it. There needs to be an action. There needs to be a learning from the group. And it can't be driven by the staff only. It's got to be driven from the players inside. So the captain now told them that we're going to sharpen up on those things. We're not just going to talk about it, and they'll drive it. The players in the group will drive that discipline. We're making it hard for ourselves, because you can't play against these teams with 14 men. Even for 10 minutes. To do it for 30 minutes is asking too much.
Thank you, Jake, and good luck on tour.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys online.
Yes, Ken.
Jack, can we just go back to the defence? Because,
Yes.
it was outstanding, and it wasn't just the usual sort of game line dominance and everything.
Yes.
There were some really smart moments of defence.
Yes.
And it also translated into some really good things at the breakdown.
Yeah, and also that trial, but Kirtley's coming off the line and they drop a ball and Kirtley runs the length of the field and goes and scores. So, yeah, Ken, I spoke last week. I said defensively we were poor, that's why I'm confident. If we speak about discipline and we buy in and we work on it, I can see we'll get it right. Because last week we spoke really harshly about our defence. We spoke about how we needed to get our shape better defensively, and I thought, as you say, one of the nice things about tonight's defence is we stopped them from carrying around us, then we stopped them carrying through us, and then what was nice as well is that that we defensively understanding the breakdown too, which I mean, again, we weren't loading numbers into the breakdown, which obviously you couldn't when you had 13 men, so that also helped us. But as I said, they try to go around us, we stop them. They try to go through us, we stop them. So there's enough there that shows me that we can defend. So yeah, it's a massive bonus compared to where we were this time last week.
Jake, on that you must be very happy with the play at the breakdowns with Marco and Marcel.
And I mean, everyone got some turnovers there. I mean, Jan Hendrik got a good one on the edge there. But again, one thing I enjoy about it is we were a little bit smarter there, Kubus. You know, it wasn't like just going in. I think it was also through the system of having 13 and 14 guys. You don't have the luxury of putting extra guy into that breakdown. So, yeah, I was very happy. I was very happy. And I think the other thing I spoke, Ken, is it wasn't always just about line speed. Sometimes we had to wait and be patient for us to get numbers. I mean, there were times they had us for numbers and we ended up still catching them, you know, and stopping them from scoring, you know, even though that we had to sort of defensively get across the field and not make a mistake, you know. So that was I was happy about. The recognition of understanding when we had numbers to go up and when we didn't have numbers to actually buy time for our defenders to help them.
Jake, just in terms of, you know, I always want to say that the whole product of the defense, you know, and the physicality and stuff. I know economics is going to rob you of it, but just how much of a yeoman and I almost want to say understated member of that pack is Walt Steenkamp. Yeah,
well, I'm trying to talk him out of taking that opportunity. I mean, for me, he's one of the most improved players we've had in this group. I mean, you see a way he runs around. I mean, people don't appreciate what a good athlete he actually is. You know, I mean, that kickoff. I don't know if you guys noticed, but that kickoff where he swapped places quickly with Cornell as well, just to understand how far ahead he is in terms of his game. You know, so yeah, and obviously, hopefully he'll go and make some money in Japan, and he'll come back to the Bulls, and he'll, you know, like all the players, come back here and finish his career at the Bulls.
Jake, just on the water breaks, I could understand last week, you know, very, very day. Today it's just like a normal. Does this not take away a bit of home ground advantage? Because I mean, when you go over there, you don't get snow breaks or cold breaks because it's so cold.
No, but Ken, it's not. I don't think it's so much because it's hot. I just think it's done. I mean, there's no ways that this is going to be any hotter than any other game we've ever played before. It's not like the temperature was. I just think that what they need to decide on is they need to make a time. You know, you can't have the ref. It's not his. I mean, he's worrying about so many things, and he just decides water break. You know, and I don't understand what the logic is and why you call it then. You know, and I think they open themselves up to scrutiny, because if they call a water break when one team's just about to get into the game or has a great opportunity, then you take away that momentum. You know. And I just think that they open themselves up for discussions on that without having to do it, you know. I mean, we had half-time, and then straight after half-time, we kicked the ball down the field, and they dot the ball down. And then a second later, their number 3 props, you know, getting attention. Now, and I'm saying that's fine. Maybe the prop was injured. But then he calls a water break a little bit later. So it's not only his call, it's the domino effect of all those things that happen in that period of 10, 15 minutes that influences the rhythm of both teams playing.
Yeah, I was going to say, it normally seems to happen when a player goes down injured, which is a bit of time wasting anyway.
Yeah,
so, it's like
and then if it doesn't, then it happens later, which means then you get 2 chances to. And I'm saying you get 2 opportunities in the game where the game loses its rhythm. That's why I said, instead of saying 20 and go hard for 20 and then there's a water break like there used to be, then it's easy. Then you can make substitutions based on that. You can, you know, because you know that there's 20 minutes left, whatever. Now, I mean, you want to make a change. Next thing there's a water break, and then you think, well, then I can wait a while, you know.
Jake,
So yeah,
is part of the issue that game lasted 2 hours and 5 minutes.
Correct.
From first kick to final whistle.
Correct.
Rugby has to get it. It's too long. And
100.
it's too much time just with nothing happening.
100%, 100%. And I mean, the masters of tempo rugby in this competition are Leinster. Now, I mean, I remember playing Leinster there last year, and when you try to slow the game down, the crowd gave it to you, because they realised that's their strength. Now, what I'm saying, no one did it purposely tonight. It wasn't like last week where the game went on, but I just say these water breaks for me, I'm going to ask if we're going to continue to have these water breaks at ad hoc times, or are we going to be able to discuss whether we need them or don't need them, And there are going to be times, guys, I suppose I'll love a water break because we're under the pump, and then I'm going to say to you, geez, I wish there was a water break. But I just felt tonight, and I felt last week and the first week, even against the Lions, that there's some times in the game where I think the shape of the game gets lost a bit.
Can I just follow up with one for you? Big thing in Galway from this season, next week, artificial pitch.
Yes.
So it'll be a very level playing surface. As
Yes.
you discovered last year, it might have
Yes.
had a little bump or two.
Yes.
But how do you think the South African teams are going to cope with coming up to play on more and more of these surfaces? They're going to be going in everywhere.
Yeah. So two things. One is I think it's sad because there is almost like a little bit of history to that Galway field. There's almost like that sort of left-hand corner where you can't get out of. But it is the changing times. I will say I'm not a fan of these artificial pitches. I'm not a fan. I mean, I understand why they do them. I understand with the temperatures and obviously the weather conditions you guys have. But I don't think, I mean, my experiences have been lots of serious injuries have happened in times I've been coaching on those sort of pitches. So I'm not a fan, but, as I said, I think you're going to have to adapt to it. I mean, like this week we play Glasgow, they've got a pitch like that. We played at Cardiff, they've got a pitch like that. You guys are going to have a pitch like that as well. So it's something we're going to have to obviously learn to play on. The difficulty about it is you don't get to train on it. And I don't know if I want to train on it because that also heightens the risk of having more and more chances of those injuries. I mean, I think without getting too technical, players just feel that surface doesn't give you as much leeway with your feet. So when your boots get stuck in and someone whacks you, there's not as much leeway on your joints. So, and I mean, last year we saw what happened with Goosen in Cardiff. So, yeah, I'm not a fan. But I mean, we have to. If it's going to happen, we're going to have to learn to play on those pitches.
Jake, there's 35 penalties tonight. Do you think that's just a symptom of early season?
Sure. I think we gave 22 at once. We gave 22. So I mean, yeah. Look, I mean.
It's one every 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Water breaks.
Correct. No, Brennan. I mean, as I said, I'm not. I can't sugarcoat the fact that we shot ourselves in the foot a few times. I mean, some stupid things there. I thought Goosen was unlucky. I mean, David Creel's busy, tackling the halfback who's sort of half trying to go forward because he doesn't want to go backwards, which is logical because he's been caught behind the gain line. And then as he's moving forwards, Goosen is standing there watching whether there's a tackle because he's probably going to go and steal the ball as well. So, I mean, if he goes down too low, he can't steal the ball. And then he gets whacked in the face and he gets a yellow card. So, I mean, as I said, he was a bit unlucky there. But, I mean, that is the law. If you make head-to-head contact, then it's a yellow card. But to answer your question, I mean, I can't justify the discipline. If we're going to play like that away from home and we're going to give home teams with their crowds behind them chances to play with 15 against 14 for 30 minutes, I mean, I can tell you we're not going to win too many games.
I was going to follow up that, but obviously last week's game, I know you can't say anything about the ref.
Yeah. No, but the ref, we won in Leinster. I like that ref.
But I mean, last week's game also Stravina's tackle, which was perfectly legal. It feels at times, sitting from the outside, that the officials are looking for reasons to give cards.
I don't know about that, but I will say this, guys. If they're going to be consistent like that right through the competition, I think that's fine. What we don't want to see is that same tackle in about 6 weeks' time and then it's play on. Or something happens like happened to Goosen tonight and they go, well, there's mitigating circumstances on the basis that where was he supposed to go. So all I'm saying is we're going to get sometimes, if it's consistent, you're going to get the rough and the smooth. I mean, that's all coaches want. I think every coach who sits here is going to say, look, whatever the laws are, just make sure you blow them for the whole competition. Cool. All right, thanks, guys. Thank you.